Hi everyone, welcome back to Grandpa Mark's Hobbies and another how-to on how I'm going to wire up my LEDs for my Roadster. This time I'm using a 0404 LED. I'll have the link in the description for everything, but these are tiny little buggers and they pack a punch. So what I did is I drilled a hole in the back side of my light lens going on an angle like this, just above where it mounts to the shock mount. And then I took my LED, and let me make sure I'm in the frame here, but I took my LED and I held it in my hand and I started twisting this thing. And I kept twisting it until I got all the way through, and it only takes a second, all the way through the wire. And what this will do is this will cord it to where I can come back, I can paint this, and it'll look just like a wire does, running through from the front to the back of the frame. So we're at this point right now. With that, I put it in and I used this drill bit right here. Don't ask me the size. I can't tell you because they're not marked. But it came in this bit kit, which I'll have the link to that also online. And what I did, like I said, is I drilled through the back on an angle up into the lens. And then I had to run, after I twisted the wire, I ran them through this way. And just before I got it in there, I kind of bent it around and finagled a little bit so the LED lays right on the bottom of the lens. And I super glued those in place. And I did that off camera because there was no way I could film that by doing it and getting my head out of the way. So that's what I did right there. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to take our little battery control, make sure it's turned on, and this sat overnight, so we want to run a test and just make sure that the super glue didn't burn out the LED somehow, which I haven't had that happen yet. So I'm just going to take the positive, which is red, and the negative, which is blue, and we'll just put them on there. And I already saw it flash, but I'm having, there we go. I do not like that color for the Roadster, but we'll take care of that in a second. Let me test the other one. Right on positive. And that's lit too. All right, so now what I'm gonna do with that is we'll turn this off. Don't know if leaving it on drains the battery or anything or not. I'm gonna pause for a second and I'll bring it right back. Okay, we're back. I have my clear green X25. And since this thing is gonna be called the Lucky Charm, we're gonna do a very light green paint right on the tip of that LED. Just a little tiny bit there. And that'll dull this down. That'll dull this down and give it a little green cast to it too, which I think will look pretty sharp. And we can check this right now. So again, turn this on. Let's grab one randomly here and see if we can't make it fire up. See there, that takes just a little tiny bit of that light away, and it does. It gives it just a real light green tint. I hope you can see that on the camera. So now we're done there. What we have to do is put the lenses in. So I'm going to pause you and I'll get the glass out and the quick shine and I'll show you how I do that. All right, I have the lenses cut out and on this towel. And I put them on a towel because it's easier to pick them up and to see them than putting them down on the mat. I have a paintbrush, and off camera over here, I have my big jug of Quick Shine. So what I'm gonna do is just get a bunch of Quick Shine on the brush. Don't worry about getting too much. We're gonna put a ring in there. Move the brush out the way. Grab a hold of the lens. These lenses do have an up and a down, a side to side. I like having them go this way with the little swoops kind of going arch towards the bottom. And we just put that in. Just like that. Now, we're going to turn that into a lens by taking some more of that Quick Shine. And just remember, you got to line it up when you're done doing this. Jake is ticked off about something today. All right, there's one. Real time, guys. It's this easy. Get a good glob of that Quick Shine in there. That is going to be our glue, and I've never had a problem with it not holding. Look at my lens, my arch going this way. And I just dropped it, and it went in upside down. So reset. Get that in there. Line it up. Get a dunk of Quick Shine. And put it over the top. You see that moving all over the place, and it does that. But make sure when you're done that you get it lined up. And that is it. Wipe off the brush. That's how we get the lights up to it, and we get the lenses in, and everything's good. We're gonna leave this dry, and I'll bring it back when it's ready to move forward. All right, I'm gonna bring it back just for a minute, just to show you where we are with the lights. What I did here is I tested fit everything, and of course it fit good. These Revell Roadsters are fantastic, but there was a reason why I test fit everything, and that's just so I know everything's going to work the way I have it designed. The engine, you're supposed to mount the engine before you do your suspension work. When you do the lighting, that is not the way to do it. So I was test fitting it just to make sure that I could do what I wanted to do before the engine got mounted, because with the engine in place, it gets a little bit tight in here, and there's some things that I want to do that are just a pain in the behind with the engine in there. So what I did last night is I got the front suspension put together, and I put this one in and glued it solid. And then I fit this through both of these, and then I glued this one in solid, let it dry hard, and then just super glued to the steering column, or the steering mechanism, straight to the axles with super glue. And if that fades your chrome where the super glue goes, you can take Quick Shine floor finish and just a little tiny light shot of it, and that usually brings that back to life. But this one, it didn't do that. I have this mark right here with where the sprue was attached. I will use a Molotow pen down the road on that. But now we're to the point where we can think about our lights. So we got this all taken care of. You saw me glue the light lenses in the other day with my Quick Shine. So we had the lenses in, we had the wires all twisted up, and then what I wanted to do is I wanted to paint these wires before I put them in the car. And I just use rubber black on that. This is the Tamiya's X85. I love this color. It really, it's so versatile for so many things. But I put the sprue in the clothespins, just like this. And then I took clothespins and I made sure that I was far enough away to where this will fit in the chassis. Now I got a ton of extra here, but I'm okay with having a ton extra. I've had them to where they're, you know, my old LEDs only came up to here. And then I had to solder in here to get the wires to go the length, and what a pain in the butt. But with this, I added the clothespins to the back far enough away to where, like I said, this will go all the way to where I need it to go. And I pulled them tight. And I had this, honestly, I had this turned all the way around, and this just barely hanging off the edge of my desk, which gave me good tension on this. And I was able to paint that without it like painting a wet piece of spaghetti, you know? So I got all that done. Remember I told you I was going to put Mod Podge up on the lens itself, which I did. Just a little dot. Let me get these all out of the way here so I'm not putting any more tension on those wires. I took and put a little tiny dot of Mod Podge right where the wire goes into the light lens. And then I took that rubber black and I painted that Mod Podge too once it was dry. And that should give us a good light block so we're not getting light coming back out of the bezel, out of the backside. And everything will look good when it's in place, especially when it's this way. Now you can see I also painted the chrome on this, the green, just kind of to give everything the green look. And I did the same on the valve covers too on here, and I'm using green spark plug wires. But that's where we are right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut these off the sprue now. I'll glue them onto the suspension, and then I'll bring you back and we'll start running the wires down, and I'll do that live time. But you don't need to watch me glue suspension pieces together. That's just like time filler, and we're going to take enough time running these wires anyhow. So I will bring you back in probably 2 hours when I get these things good, dried, hard, and ready to go. Okay, I have the lights glued on the front here. No problems at all with that. I ran the wires down and in between the frame and the suspension right here, so that I have clear shot down this frame rail. So now all I want to do is I want to take each one and run them through the holes that I made in here, and we'll get them just back to the back. And then we'll work on finaging these things to where they look good. But I want to go under the exhaust. So I want to do this without trying to tie them in a knot too. So let's start by bringing them up through, just so they're on this side of the chassis, just so I can see down in there now, and it'll be easier for me to feed these through. And I want to twist these ends up a little bit better too. So I'm just going to hold this in my hand, and I'm going to rotate these around, and they're not doing anything. There we go. Just so they're together and it won't fight me going in through the hole here. So let's feed this one down through without ripping it out of the LED or out of the lens itself. Things. There we go. Right through, give it a little twist. I want to get it over the exhaust for right now. And now we're going to pull this in, watching that we don't kink it right here. Okay, this we want to make sure goes in there nice and straight. So I'm going to slowly pull this in, and I'm watching that, trying not to peel the paint off of everything. And there's one. will run all the way back. I could actually just drop that right in that little hole we made right here, right now, and I'm going to. And that'll put the wire on the other side of the car where it should be and make it easier for me to see. Golly, my laundry's done. Make it easier to see what I'm doing in here. Geez, that slipped out of my hand. I almost lost it. There we go. Put my finger in here to keep this from kinking. And we're just going to pull that down in there just like that. Get it to where I'm on the right side of the headers or the exhaust pipe there. And I'm not going to pull it tight because I'm going to be pulling backwards this way. But I am run where I need to be. And we can do the same thing with this one. I'll twist this up. This is really a simple, cool mod you can do. The hardest part for me is the soldering. And that's always been one of my weaknesses. But since I got the flux, I bought a can of flux. And that seems to be making a big, huge difference. So there she goes. Barely. I'm glad that didn't pull itself back through. See there, we're down through that hole that I cut in there, that notch that I showed you earlier. And we're going to pull it down there. Now let's go ahead and slap that in the hole here. Since we're feeding everything through. And there you go. See how that's trying to kink? Right here. Turn that with your finger. Keep that a hoop and not a knot. And it'll all pop in there nicely. Now, to be honest with you, if you wanted to say, I'm good with that, that would look fine. Look, all the way around. It looks good. The engine's going to come down here. You're not going to see these wires. So you could walk away proud right now knowing that this is going to sit in here like that, and you're good. You know? So let me stop here. I want to pop this seat out that I think dropped in. There we go. Because I want to show you, these are going to come in through the body and out like this. And see inside there, they lay in there really nice. And that's the way that fits. That's in there tight. So now you got this much wire to mess around with to put on your, it's somewhere over here, your switch. I just had it too. There it is, criminy. To put this in there. And then you leave yourself enough wire to tuck that back in there. And it wouldn't hurt. I mean, you could get away with leaving this much in there and just pushing it in. You're not going to hurt anything. But now we know we're in and we're golden here. We're going to go around and I'm going to try to make these wires lay in here nicely and figure out where I want to run them up front here. I don't really mind having those come back out like this. That's not a bad thing, but we can make it look a little bit better by taking this and tugging it forward just a bit. I got my finger, my back finger on that wire, kind of keeping it in place. And I'm going to tug this up and pull it. So it kind of goes across the frame right there. Now see how that wire looks on the side? It gives it a little, there's a little bit, I don't know. I think that's a little too much. So I'm going to pull this up here even farther and make that wire come straight down like that. And now I like that. I can take this, and I'm trying not to hold on to all this suspension work here because we don't need to break that off. And I'm going to bring this right onto the frame rail, just like that. We're going to set that down. I got a large clothespin that I'm setting that down on to keep it off of the chrome. Now, I took some of my 3M aluminum tape. I got this. I was saying I got it at Home Depot or at the dollar store, but I didn't. I got this at Home Depot like forever years ago when I was redoing my dryer vent. And what I did is I cut a strip off this wide, and I cut that strip into little pieces. That's all the bigger that is. And now what I'm going to do with that is we're going to peel the back off of this thing. And I'm going to use it to clamp that down. I just take my knife and work it in between the aluminum and the paper. Set that in my finger. Then I grab the aluminum part of it, just as a corner, and I can get that paper off of there. Flatten this out just a little bit. This is sticky stuff. And now we're going to come up. I am in frame here, right? I wish I could get you closer. I'm going to come up. I'm going to put that on the wire and on the top, just like that. And now I want to pull that around the edge, like that. And we'll take a toothpick, which I have 1,000 of them. We'll smooth this out here. We'll smooth it out on the firewall. Get it to look right. It will move around a little bit, but it kind of holds pretty nice. Let me twist that just a smidge. Try to get it straight. Push that wire down in there so the wire's on the side. And there we go. That's run nice. Now we'll work our way back. I'm going to put a little piece right here on this frame rail up higher. So let me do that, and I'm just going to do the one side, show you how I get it back there. And then we'll go from there. Boy, these little things are kind of a pain. But look at that when I got the paper off of there already. Well, I had it. There we go. Peel it back a little bit. And I'll straighten that back up. And I want to put this right here on the frame, just to start moving that up towards the hole. Just like that. Get the toothpick. You know what? Q-tip is a good idea for this one. And I'm just going to mark that right there. And again, this is a lot easier to do when you're not on camera. Smooth it out kind of like bare metal foil. And that'll hold. And then if you wanted to, you could paint those. But to be honest with you, they disappear when you put the engine in. So I'm in there. I'm through the hole. I want to come back up against the frame rail right up here. So I'm just going to pull this towards me. I'm pulling that way. So I'll feed just a smidge through here. Give myself a little bit of a hump. I'm going to pull this up and down towards the frame, or towards the chassis, just like that. Just like that. Give myself a little 45 on there. Set that down. Let me get a piece of this tape. That one's tight, so I'm going to cut that again. This is the hardest part, is getting in between that paper. There we go. You see, I bent that back just a smidge. Now I got the paper instead of the tape. I'm going to fold that paper out of there. And then we'll just take our knife, come in and lift that up. Now, this one's going to go right here. Let's get that in place. Straighten it out. Sharp. I like it. That one I'll hit with the black. But there we go. We're down. Now I want to push this into the frame right there. I'm going to give it a tighten. And then we'll pull it in. Oh, you know what? I'm sitting here trying to use the backside of the Q-tip. And it's not cut off. There we go. Just gives me a little bigger push. I want to come in between and just push that up against the frame like that. This is snipped off. I got a flat piece here. We're going to do that. That tightened all that up. Now I'm going to come in here and I'm going to fold this towards the center and bend it down. And with that, I want a bigger piece of this aluminum tape. So I'll just cut off a piece about that big. And this is all by eye. Open that one up. And if I wasn't trying to film this, it would be done already because I could get my head right down in there. But I'm going to come right up on this hole. We're going to put that tape there. Make sure we're down smooth on this side, which we are, all the way back. Put the tape on there and lock that down. Just like that. It doesn't have to be pretty. We want it just to be tight. And that'll hold that wire in place there. All right, that's one. I'll do the other one the exact same way. Try to make them as even as I can. And then I'll bring you back and we'll solder this thing to our battery and switch. No sense in me running both. You saw one, it's the same thing, just other side. Okay. We got our wires run down through the back, up through the holes. All the tape is in, holding them into position. The wires look good coming off the edge. And then what I did is, like the one side, I folded it over tight, taped it on. Then I just crossed these two over and I ran a piece of tape down the center here. And what that does, that just kind of locks everything in. So when you're turning the switch on and off, it doesn't pull. So this is where you stop now and you jump back into it. You get your back suspension and everything in. Really, you finish this kit almost all the way up. And then we'll solder in the switch. So I'll bring it back once we're ready to continue on the lights. But for now, as you're building, just let the lights hang. When you put this on, you'll feed those wires through. Just make sure you don't feed them through the steering wheel. I did that once. and it got a little tangled, and I kind of pulled one of the wires a little bit. So just something to think about when you're feeding them through. Watch your steering wheel, watch your stick shift. And remember, your seat doesn't go in until everything else. This will be the last thing that gets installed now. So again, I'll bring you back once we're ready to solder this all up. But we're golden now. This is where you wanted to be. And like I said, it's easy with just the little tools, the soldering iron and things like that. You can do this, the pin vise and the LEDs. So I'll bring you back in a few. All right, as you can see, the chassis is now mounted to the body. I did not paint those. I just left them go for now. Everything's run. The suspension's all on, so now we're ready to put things together. So let's start. I want to tin these two wires. What I did is I ran them through. When I put the body down over top of this, I just twisted these wires together, and I left about maybe 2 inches of the red and the blue, twisted that together individually, and then kind of twisted the ends up. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take my flux. I got this on Amazon. It'll be in the description. And I'm gonna flux these wires. If I can grab hold of them. We're gonna just put a little bit of flux on the bottom or on the wires. While I'm at it, I might as well grab a clothespin, grab hold of one side of the switch, and we'll flux the plus and minus on this while we're at it. I don't think we need that much. But that might be how much we're gonna get. There we go. I'll just set this standing up like that. Getting ready to tin everything, and we're just gonna solder all this stuff up. I got my Weller. It should be hot enough now. And we're good. Put it on there, and we'll tin those wires up. Get it warm. Just like that. Move that out of the way. Let's put some solder on these. Let me grab another clothespin. I use clothespins for dang near everything here. The desk. There we go. I can get this one going the other way. Just like that. That's all we need. We already put flux on it. I want to put a little solder there. I used to have a ton of problems soldering. And I found out it's because I wasn't using any flux. So now things are going a little bit better for me. I thought I grabbed it and it was hot, but it wasn't hot. Now I'm just gonna kind of bring everything together. Try to do this on camera. I'm gonna lay that wire in there, put a little down pressure on it. Come over here with the soldering iron, touch it. I don't know if I get a little solder on there, huh? There's a one. Clean that off. you grab this, get it around to the negative side. What if I turn this off too? We'll put that in there with that big glob of solder. I'm gonna just put that on there to hold it down. And I think never fails. You know, I'm trying to baby this when I really don't need to. I can grab that way up in here. Like that. Like that. And then we can take this and just turn it. Wow. And grab it like that. Take this, grab it sideways. Now, we're up in the air where we can see what the heck we're doing here. Pull that wire around. Trying to keep my head out of here. This is not helping. That's all we need to do. What the heck? I can set this down on here even. I just don't want to burn my desk. Come in with a hot soldering iron. Done. Not going anywhere. See how the backs look. They look a little ugly, but not too bad. Watch this. We'll take my old, don't use your good snips, use your old crummies, and cut them off so it's nice and smooth. Let me turn off my soldering iron so I don't stick my arm in it. We'll move all this out of the way. Clean my flux off my toothpick. Again, that's the flux. The solder is just electrical solder that was given to me. Just a huge roll. What if I turn it the right way? Just a huge roll here. I don't know where this came from, but there's got to be, oh shoot, 3 pounds of it in here. So it's going to last me forever. And I take some off and I wrap it around a clothespin just to hold it. It makes it easier than trying to use that big, huge thing or cut off a million little ones. All right, let's see if plus and minus were the right way here. Nice. And that's how you light your car. We'll take this and we're just gonna stuff all this extra wire in the back here. And trust me, when you're out and about showing these things off or trying to take pictures, you'll be very happy that you had that extra wire when your battery dies. But there's that. Remember, I'm not going to use the magnet on this seat because I don't need to, because it drops in there that well. And dude, nobody's going to know how you know, they're not going to care. It's perfect. Look at how nice that looks. And your battery's buried in the back, gives a little weight, sits down nice, and you got headlights. Take that and show that to someone, huh? Well, there you go. It's as easy as that. It just takes a little bit of thought at the beginning to figure out how you want to run them to where they're out of the way. And it's just as easy to do in a car. As a matter of fact, it's easier to do in a car because you can run these along the side of the chassis, between the chassis and the body, or the interior and the body, and you don't even see them underneath because they're run all the way up through. You can just hide them around the engine. So there you go. I am done. I will let you go. We're going to put this thing on its wheels and probably finish it up today. So thank you very much for watching. I hope I helped. Y'all have a great day and a better tomorrow.